Have you ever wondered why the Earth has seasons?
Yes, I wonder that often.
When the Earth's orbit has the northern hemisphere pointing away from the sun, it is winter there and summer in the southern hemisphere. Because of the tilt of the Earth's axis, the southern hemisphere is receiving the most direct rays, which results in a variation in temperature over the year. As the Earth orbits around the sun, it'll eventually turn and it'll become summer in the northern hemisphere and winter in the southern hemisphere because it's not receiving as much direct sunlight.
Say it one more time.
This is phenomenal.
Have you ever wondered why your cells go through apoptosis near the equator? Well, that's because the equator receives the most direct sunlight because of the Earth's tilt, whereas the poles receive significantly less light, making them colder because it's dispersed over a larger area.
Have you ever wondered why the days are so short in the winter and then long in the summer?
The reason that we have longer days or shorter days throughout the year depends directly on the angle in which we're receiving sunlight from the sun. So in this specific part of the orbit, the northern hemisphere would be in the wintertime and the southern hemisphere would likely be in the summertime. The reason, like if you look at the poles, for instance, the angle at which the sunlight is hitting the Earth, it's not really receiving much of the sunlight. So during the winter time, the northern pole would be receiving very little light, and if not, like no sunlight at all. And the area in which the sunlight can reach other parts, like geographical locations closer to the equator, is definitely a smaller angle. But say if we were in a different part of the orbit, in Earth's orbit, the Earth would be the sun would have a greater area to reach. The sunlight could hit the Earth with a greater angle and cover a wider area, so that way when the Earth rotates, the day would actually be longer. While on the South Pole, like right here, it wouldn't really be receiving much sunlight, if not any at all. So it would probably be dark, like nighttime, the whole time there.
To provide a visual, as the Earth orbits the sun does not move. What changes is the Earth's rotation on its axis. So when the northern hemisphere is facing away from the sun, the amount of sunlight that's hitting the northern hemisphere is much smaller compared to the amount on the equator or the southern hemisphere that is even closer to the sun, and vice versa. On the other solstice, when the southern hemisphere is receiving the shortest amount of sunlight, and you can see it follows the spherical shape of the Earth.
This bulb simulates radiation as it hits the Earth, and as you can see, in the more area, like the areas where it's hitting more directly, that's where you would have more radiation. So that's why in the southern parts, like South America, you would get a lot more heat and a lot more like radiation as a result. Whereas up here in the northern hemisphere at this time, and up in the poles, it's less directly hitting, so there you're not going to have like a lot of radiation, because like sunlight and radiation are synonymous. So yeah.